Thank you. Hey, thank you guys for being here. It's exciting, opening week. I'm really proud of our team. They've grown a lot together over the fall and now over the spring. They came back a week early to a brand new locker room, which is so fun, so exciting. So they're excited about being with each other. They're excited about playing against somebody else because we've been playing against each other for the last month and a half. And I think they're really excited, to all be on one team and play against somebody else. And I'm just really proud of them. And I'm really excited to see what the identity of our team is going to be this year. It's hard to know that until you've played, some tough games and experienced some adversity. So, but I appreciate you guys being here and the support that you give us because it means a lot.
What would you say is, as you got them in, the biggest bit of growth that you've seen so far?
I'd say probably, it's called fast pitch for a reason, right? Everything starts in the circle. And that was a big question mark coming in. I mean, to be honest, because we had two upperclassmen, Sage Hoover and Lexi Delbree, who, they were out last year, due to injury. So there's a big question mark as to what that was going to look like. And then the catching spot too. So the battery, I think, has kind of been the biggest question mark. And over these last, month and a half, it's been really fun to watch that develop and that grow. And I think it's going to be really good.
Coach, you have 14 players coming back for this season. How important is that from a continuity standpoint to help build and have a much better season than last year?
Yeah, I mean, it helps a lot, especially being a second-year coach. Having 14 student athletes who kind of know what I'm about and trust that I'm in it for the right reasons and I care about them as people first. I think it's easier to get buy-in whenever the majority of the team has kind of experienced my coaching style. So I think that's helpful. And just, again, I think it's routines and stuff. They can go through things quicker and know what to expect and help the others to know what to expect. And then also to keep the standard, to know what the standard is of Raging Cajun softball is really important because not everybody knows that, but that there is a very high standard here. So that's beneficial as well.
Coach, I went back and looked at the offense that you all had in Jerry's first year, and then last year, the offense that you had. And I was shocked at how remarkably similar they were. And they improved, obviously, took big strides that second year. What gives you confidence that offensively, y'all are going to have way more pop and way more success offensively than last year?
Yeah, I guess just in the athletes that we brought in, obviously you want to bring some more offense into the heart of the lineup. And then based on what we have returning, I think those two things put together, I mean, we got Kennedy Morrisseau from Alabama and Maddie Manning from LSU, who have some experience at high levels, and then Emily Smith returning. And then you have, we have 14 returners, but there are 4 of those who were out last year, right? And 2 big ones of those is Lily Knox, who didn't play, who has a lot of pop in her stick, and Brooke Otto. So, I think that alone and then watching them develop over the fall and spring gives me a lot of hope that we're going to put up some cricket numbers this year. I think that'll be exciting to watch.
How much better, even though she didn't play last year, is Brooke Otto than the girl you recruited a couple of years ago for transfer?
She's much improved. She's worked really hard too, though. I mean, and I think she's only going to get better because, anytime you take a year off, even though you practice and do all the things, it's still not like, okay, lights are on, it's game night, and we're playing against somebody else. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know the potential is definitely there. And I think as long as the mindset is there and she's going to work through things and she's going to work hard. And she's just been really consistent in the heart of the lineup. So I think she'll do just fine.
What were some of your biggest lessons from last year that you are kind of carrying into this year that you want to kind of implement going into this season that you learned from your first year at the helm?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think coming in the first year, you want to gain trust. And I think that takes time. It's not like just a magic potion where you can say, hey, trust me. I think you have to earn that. So I think maybe at times I may have been maybe a little lenient in the sense of because it was important for me to convey to them that I cared about them as people first. So to come in and just lay down a hammer, and they don't trust you, then I think that kind of works backwards. I think they need to know that they're loved, valued, and appreciated. And that's really important to me, that they all know that from 1 through 22, whether they're the 4-time All-American or the pinch runner, that they know they're valued, loved, and appreciated. So I think that takes time and investment. But I think, again, having 14 returners, they know that. And I think now the standard has always been there, but I think as far as the enforcement and the consequences and the demand of what that takes, I can be a little tougher on them, and they're going to respond to that.
Overall this season, what are you expecting to see in conference play from what you've seen over the offseason?
From us?
Oh, no, from around the league.
Oh, I think, just based on the portal, Indiana has shown that, right? You can go from being the worst to the best. So it's hard to know, but just based on portal pickups and stuff, I think it's going to be very competitive, and I think there's going to be some good pitching out there. I think we're going to I think we can potentially have some games where we win 12-0 and some games where, it's 1-0, just based on who we're facing. But I think pitching is going to be pretty strong on some teams, and I think there's some teams who are putting together some pretty good hitters. But I do believe that great pitching can beat great hitting too. So it's a combination of a lot of things. But every game in softball, you have to show up to play, right? So for us, it's about being consistent. And it doesn't matter who we're playing, that we bring a consistent mentality and a consistent approach and a consistent just attack mode, that if we're beating somebody, we're going to put them away. And if we're not beating somebody, we're going to find a way to win.
You talked about those 3 transfers just a little bit. How have you kind of seen them ingrain themselves in the culture and try to fit in here a part of this program?
Yeah, it's been fun. Julianne Tipton is the only one who isn't from Louisiana. She's from Tennessee, a transfer from Arizona State. A great addition, just has some really good pitches and has, again, competed at a high level. But the other 2, Maddie Manning and obviously Kennedy Marceau, they're Louisiana girls, so the culture piece is, they adjust well to that. But I think, coming from Alabama and then coming from LSU, maybe not getting as much playing time as they may have had here. I think the mental part of that, has been a growing process of the need to be perfect and the need to have success right away. So I think watching them work through that, and now like this last week to see like Maddie Manning is really starting to hit the ball. I knew in the beginning just based on her swing that she had talent and could hit, but now watching her do it, it's really special. And Kennedy Marceau too, I think it comes to a point in time where they just decide, okay, can I just swing hard? I said, swing hard, you might hit it, swing hard, but don't get shortchanged. Don't go up there with a passive mentality that I just got to make contact. So again, hitting is a tough thing mentally, but I think it's mentally just letting them know that they're free to fail, and I get to do this. I don't got to do this.
Kind of sticking with the theme of newness, you got 2 new assistant coaches that you added to the mix. What have you seen from them, and how are the girls adapting to their coaching styles?
I think they've been fantastic. They just bring a new energy and a passion and a joy, and a love for the athlete. Kyle Brady with the pitchers, he works tirelessly in trying to figure out, again, the mindset of, because every athlete's different. They're not, you can't treat them the same. You can be fair, but it's not the same. Every athlete is motivated differently. So the key to coaching is finding out how to motivate each athlete. That's really the key to coaching. But then just how to fix things, how to tweak things. And he's just been great at that, and just how to, relating with the athlete. I think he's done a tremendous job. And then Coach Shipman also he's just so passionate about hitting, and he loves it. He's a little more like tough-minded, which is fun to have around because he's competitive. But our hitters have really responded well to him as well. And again, it's just a new energy and just a different viewpoint. Having 2 guys, I think with females, I think it's important to have the guy role model too, who can offer something that is a little bit different. So they've been great additions, both of them.
So in only your second year, are you in both circle and in every position players, do you see a lot of experimenting in these first few weeks, or do you have a pretty good idea this is kind of what we're going to be with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions?
Yeah, I do like, again, I tell every athlete on the team, you're going to get an opportunity. Some opportunities are going to be more than others. That's just the way it is. However, I do like to see, because, man, it's just something, I've been around the game long enough to where you can have kids who practice well or whatever, but the lights are on and it's showtime. There are some kids who just are gamers. So I like to give kids opportunities to see what that might look like, because you can go into a season thinking, okay, I have this set lineup, but then all of a sudden there's an outlier who kind of shows up on game day, and you're like, wow, because you can't teach that. So again, with that, I just like to give different opportunities, and I think it's good to give everyone opportunities, but I think it's also good for the competitive spirit to know that nobody's locked in, that we have to continue to work hard and compete.
Okay, so you've already talked about the third base, and we know that you have your middle infield back. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then we all know you have a girl at first who did a lot more runs last year. And then you have this catcher that you've already talked about who came in from Alabama. So there's not a lot of wiggle room there. Is there some girls there that could play elsewhere, or is there some platooning that's going to take place?
Yeah, I mean, we do have, again, I like to recruit athletes. So, like we call her Money, she's from Spanish Port, Alabama, and she can play second base. She can play the outfield. She can pretty much play anywhere. Maddie Manning can play anywhere. We have Mia Norwood, who can catch, play third base, can also play in the outfield. And again, it keeps everybody on the toes because you hit, you play, right? So in the outfield, I think there's a lot of wiggle room for that because we can go with a speed lineup. We can go more of a power lineup. So I think there is some wiggle room there to figure out, like, based on who we're playing, what that might look like. And that's what I'm anxious to see, like, who's going to really step up maybe in the 1 or 2 hole, what that looks like, or do we need to put more power, or just trying to figure those things out, I think early is going to be exciting.
The outfield, less maybe, more question marks.
Yeah.
How many options do you have there?
Well, I mean, you have Deja in center field, who, again, has some speed, and you have Aaron Ardwin. And then on the sides, you have more power with Lily Knox and then Gabby Stoots. But then Gabby has her sister Kennedy, who can also hit it pretty good. And then you have Money in the outfield, too. Like if Liscano and Sis are at short and second, then Money, she's a gamer. Like she shows up and hits gaps and gets RBIs, and she doesn't look like she's going to do much, but she gets the job done. So, but again, she can play center field. So I think in the outfield, it's going to be, maybe a lot of different looks just to see kind of who rises to the challenge.
Pitching wise, you mentioned you have 2 pitchers who did not pitch last season. And how hard is it going to be to know how hard you can push them early in the season to make sure they're there for the long haul? Nobody knows that.
Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah. Well, the really good thing about that, Kevin, is both Sage Hoover and Lexi Delbury both have high-level pitching experience, right? I mean, Sage has thrown against Texas when she was at Texas Tech. I mean, she's thrown against some really good teams. Lexi's thrown at the College World Series. So they know what challenging, experiences look like. They know what hard looks like. They haven't experienced that in a while, but they know what that looks like. So I don't think it's going to scare them away. I think if it does happen, I think there might be some growth that needs to happen, but I think it's a short-term growth to where they'll be able to remember it, respond, and say, okay, stay present and got to keep going, I mean, for pitchers, it's being a one-pitch warrior, right? So what next hitter, and doesn't matter what just happened, it's about what's going to happen now and just attacking the strike zone. This pitch is the most important pitch and staying present. So, but I think they'll both do great at that.
Sticking with pitchers, do you kind of have an idea of who's going to get the start on Friday against Tulsa?
I don't. No. I really don't.
Nice try. Nice try.
Going into the season, what aspect of this team, be it pitching, hitting, fielding, that you are the most confident in? Is like, I know that this team does this well.
I'm going to say play defense. I mean, I really believe that we can play defense against anybody. I mean, I think, and that's been what I've preached in the sense that we'll figure out a way to score runs. But we need to, number one, keep the ball in the ballpark. And other than that, we're going to play some defense, turn double plays. I think we're really good at that. And I think that's going to always hopefully be a staple. And after that, I'm really hopeful. Again, last year, the short game was a big piece because, you have to play with the hand that you're dealt, which I love short game. I love to create chaos for the defense. But it's going to be exciting, I think, to see more offense. And again, you don't know that till the lights are on, right? But I anticipate 1 through 9 being able to produce. And that's what's going to be exciting is that, if Emily doesn't get the job done, then there's going to be Maddie, then there's going to be Lily, then there's going to be Marceau, then there's going to be Money. Like there's a whole list of ones behind her who can. Whereas last year, that list was a little smaller, right? So I think Emily felt like a lot of pressure where if I don't do it, then nobody else will. So I think that, again, it takes pressure off of hitters to where anybody in the lineup can do something really good. So I think that's going to be really exciting to watch. I can't say that's going to be a staple in our lineup because hitting you never know, but I am really looking forward to that piece of it.
If Kennedy hits the ball really well, could that impact how many games she catches or where are you? I know you've got some catching experts here on the staff that probably could, but how do you worry about that? Could she need to be playing another position if she becomes one of your best hitters?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had talked about that earlier. Obviously, a catcher, you want to protect the knees. But at the end of the day, I mean, she's in shape. I mean, she's a driven kid. I think she can catch a lot of games. However, we have a freshman, Natalie, who's really come along, and then Mia Norwood has come along to where in the fall, to be honest, I didn't really know if either one of them I could confidently put behind the plate and say, okay, I trust that. But now I think I could. So that's reassuring to know that we can give Kennedy a break if, she does look tired. So that's comforting to know that we do have other catchers that we can put back there. And then, maybe she DPs, maybe she sits a game, and she can also play middle infield or outfield too. And she can play the corners. So again, it just gives a lot of options when you have athletes.
You talked a little bit about defense and errors were some things that you guys dealt with a little bit last season. How have you guys been emphasizing just trying to play clean softball all around?
Well, every day, we've been scrimmaging a lot, which I think is good because you can't turn on game like. And when we scrimmage, we always put base runners on. Like it doesn't, like it's first and second, it's bases loaded. It's trying to create chaos for our own defense to make them have to think fast. And so that's been a process because in the beginning we were making a lot of errors. But I think the more they in those high pressure situations in practice and game like, I think the easier it is for them to kind of, just the chaos in the game goes away and we can always adjust to easy, right? So we want to make practices harder. And I think we've done a good job of that. And I think they've responded to that. So hopefully that'll show up in the game.
Any idea, have you had time to kind of focus on the teams you're going to be facing this weekend and what those matchups could look like?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a little bit, haven't really delved into it, but today we'll start in the cages and stuff, kind of preparing for their pitching with Tulsa and Jackson State. And, they bring a mix. They have a little velo, a kid who can throw pretty hard, up and in and up. So again, just having the discipline to swing at strikes, see the ball down. And then on the other side of that, have somebody who throws like a little change up and a little off speed. So we'll see a variety, no doubt. But more specifically, like in the cages today, we're gonna really be specific on what pitchers we're gonna face. And then we have a great a BP thrower from Canada by the name of Nick Need, he plays on the men's team in Canada, and he can throw 78 miles an hour, and he's awesome, and he can throw up and down and change ups. And so when our girls are hitting against him, they're like, oh man, if we can hit him, we can hit anybody. So again, we can dial it up on him and he can kind of throw the pitches that we need him to pitch, which is, I think, really going to be helpful long-term too. Because even before the game, like most people, they take BP. When Nick is throwing and our kids are like, okay, it's not just your regular BP where everyone's down the middle. I mean, it's challenging, which is good. I mean, that's what you're going to face in the game, right? So I think long-term, that's going to really help us to be better in games.